Finlayson's family says she called 911 because her ex-boyfriend was allegedly strangling her, and they say he hurt her 9-year-old daughter too. When this was over, Niani ended up dead. Tonight we have brand new video that shows what happened when deputies arrived at her Lancaster apartment. And this is two of the deputies' body camera video, according to LASD, as they tried to force their way into Niani's apartment. The sheriff's department says she opened the door with a kitchen knife in her hand and said she was about to stab her ex-boyfriend. Here's what happened when deputies made entry.
Yes, hello. I need the police here. This man, he won't get out of my house now. And I already told him to get out of my house. Okay, stop yelling. Stop yelling. So who is he to you? His name is... Leave me alone. Ma'am,
Her family called a press conference alongside their attorney, Brad Gage, outraged that this mother of two who called 911 for help in a domestic violence situation ended up dead.
Just breaks me to my bone. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't walk, I can't talk.
For such a loving, caring, a wonderful mother, a daughter, to just be gone at a moment's notice. I don't get to say goodbye. I know she knows I love her.
We are here for justice to be served and for justice to be done.
Show your face! Show your face, please, with sugar on top!
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, please make sure you head on down to Instagram and follow us on our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _. We're able to be a little more explicit, a little more uncensored, and share content freely without running the risk of having our channel terminated. So, once again, make sure you head on down to Instagram and follow us on our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, so if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. Now let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, today we're bringing a story to raise awareness against trigger-happy law enforcement officers that should be penalized once it's noted that they clearly resort to using their firearm in situations where it's not always necessary. There are a lot of great law-abiding police officers out there that do their duty to protect citizens against everyday crime that has blanketed our country. However, there's a few officers that make it very bad for the rest, and sometimes their temporary mistakes result in others permanently losing their lives in situations where it was just unnecessary. That's exactly what happened when a 27-year-old woman by the name of Niani Finlayson would meet a deputy with a history of reckless behavior on the job. Niani wouldn't expect what was to come when she would call LASD over a domestic dispute with her boyfriend, but instead became a victim to the same officers she called for help. Thanks to body cam surveillance, we were able to see the fatal moments of Niani, proving that she was unlawfully taken out of this world when a trigger-happy deputy would decide to fatally shoot the young woman after arriving to her home. And if you're wondering why we keep referring to the deputy as trigger-happy, well, it's because ironically, that same deputy has already been involved in another controversial shooting back in 2020 when a man by the name of Michael Thomas was wrongfully shot and killed by the same officer. What makes matters even strange, both Michael Thomas and Niani Finlayson was involved in a domestic dispute according to reports at the time of their deaths. Now, before we get into both stories, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm and spread awareness to these situations that are going on. And if you're new to the platform, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. Now, in the case of 62-year-old Michael Thomas being shot and killed by LASD on June 11, 2020 in the living room of his home, everything would start when deputies was called to his property. Now, it's unclear who, but someone called 911 to report a domestic dispute between Michael Thomas and his fiancée. It was no report of a physical altercation. However, someone noted that they heard loud voices between a man and a woman going back and forth in the home, assuming that they were arguing, so they reported it as a domestic dispute. Michael Thomas' fiancée Kimberly would state that yes, they were having a verbal argument, but nothing to the point to where they were going to do anything to each other physically. Also, she is legally deaf, and that's one of the reasons she talked loud in the first place. 4 deputies would show up to their home, and Michael Thomas would go to the door to greet the deputies, but here's where 2 different stories will come into play. Michael's fiancée said that he refused to let police in, and she heard Michael tell him, quote, "I have the right to not let you in my house." As they would still try to enter, Michael wouldn't allow them to, and that's when his wife says she can see the officers bending Michael's arm back. She says that's when Michael would inform them that they're hurting him, and also states that Michael already had a disabled arm prior to the incident. She recalled Michael trying to break free from the officers and would turn around to run away, but that's when he would be shot twice by one of the 4 deputies, leaving blood all over the living room furniture. Although that was a story that Michael's fiancée gave to reporters, LASD will have a different story at hand, stating that while Michael and the officers were tussling, Michael would try to reach for one of the deputies' weapon. They state once they realized what Michael was trying to do, that's when one of the deputies shot him, causing Michael to fatally lose his life. The family's attorney, Brad Gabe, says that Michael didn't have any weapon and there was no visual signs of domestic violence in the house, so it was no reason for police to enter the house in the first place. On top of that, Mike was protected by his 4th Amendment constitutional right, which fights against illegal search and seizures where police come into people's home and harm them, or in this case, take their lives. Unfortunately, LA County Sheriff's deputies aren't required to wear body cameras, and there was no cameras attached to the home to capture what actually happened, so it's only Michael's family word against LASD's. Now, the fact that they aren't required to wear body cameras, I think that plays a part in why the deputy feels so comfortable doing whatever he wants, knowing that at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to your word against mine in the court of law, and more than likely the courts will side with the officer if he or she indicates that their life was in danger at the time of the shooting. With no evidence, there's no way to prove whether it's true or not. However, I do find it kind of strange that a 62-year-old man would be trying to take a gun from a police officer. I can't really see Michael Thomas trying to do that, and if you was trying to just shoot him to get him to stop, why wasn't he tased at least? Especially being that it was more than one deputy against one 62-year-old man, why wasn't he tased first? And even if you decided to shoot, why shoot him twice? That sounds like someone who's shooting to take a life, not maintain a situation or de-escalate, right? Now, that shooting is still under investigation to my knowledge, but just 3 years later, that same deputy who was accused of pulling the trigger in Michael's case will be involved in yet another fatal shooting involving someone else in a domestic dispute. LA Sheriff's Deputy Ty Shelton will be accused of killing yet another individual, this time a 27-year-old mother of 2, right before the holidays. According to reports, on December 4th, 2023, Niani Finlayson called 911 to report to the home in Lancaster over a domestic dispute with a boyfriend. Niani would include that the boyfriend was strangling her and even putting hands on her daughter as well. The LASD released audio from the 911 call, which captured Finlayson shouting, quote, "He won't get out of my house. He will not leave me alone. I need the police here right now." She could be heard screaming and repeatedly telling the man to get off her, whose sources believe it was the boyfriend. According to LASD, deputies could hear screaming and sounds of a struggle during the phone call to 911. As deputies arrived to the home, they said they still heard screaming on the other end of the door, prompting one of the officers to begin kicking the door after he knocked and no one answered. Finally, reports say Niani will open the door with a big kitchen knife in her hand as she told deputies, quote, "Yeah, I'm gonna stab him." Deputies drew their weapons before entering the home, as her 9-year-old daughter would be next to her mom, and told officers that the man had hurt her, seemingly saying that he had either punched or pushed her. A female deputy entered the home first, and Finlayson and the boyfriend moved to the opposite end of the room. Deputy Shelton followed inside a moment later and fired 4 shots at Finlayson almost as soon as he entered. The worst part about that, is that her 9-year-old daughter was standing right beside her when the shots was fired. The daughter ran into the kitchen after the deputy fired the shots, and her mother collapsed to the ground. The boyfriend screamed, "No, no, why did you shoot?" Reports added that everything happened so fast, and though Niani was the victim, she would be shot just 3 seconds after officers entered her home. Deputy Shelton reportedly opened fire because Niani was threatening her boyfriend with a knife, so they say, but Niani's family said that was false. In a conference held by her family on December 21st, 2023, her 9-year-old daughter, who witnessed everything, said that the police lied about her mom threatening anybody, so the real question is, why was Niani Finlayson shot in the first place? With her being the one that called the cops to the house anyway, it should take more than a threat or a verbal threat or anything of that nature to shoot somebody, right? She's the one that called them. So they said that they heard, screaming and the sounds of struggle on the 911 call when she called. So why would they think that she's the one that's the aggressor? 9 times out of 10, she probably only had it in her hand to scare her boyfriend off from hitting her and her daughter. It's not like she was really going to do it, Because if she really wanted to do something, she would have never called the cops in the first place. She would have just did it, right? So my thing is, why was she, shot? Why was violence or anything used against her? What about a taser? What about trying to talk to her or whatever the case may be? To de-escalate the situation, you don't need a gun. Not to mention, they said that the officer wasn't even in there for that long before he fired shots. So what was the reason? Right? Especially 4 times. But we'll get back to that. Now, LASD Sheriff Robert Luna said the department released the video on December 29, 2023, before they were legally required to, in an effort to show their commitment to transparency. However, transparency don't make anything right or any better. They did it because it was the right thing to do. Yes, they did it before they was legally obligated, but this is something they should have been did because nobody wants to go into the new year having to worry about what's going on or what's happening. This happened on December 4th. So if you have the body cam surveillance or if you have any type of video to prove justice, why keep it anyway? So it's not like they were doing a favor. They were just doing what was right, if you ask me, right? And thanks to the body camera, it shows the moment Shelton entered, he had a taser in one hand and a firearm in the other, but still opted to shoot Niani rather than try to de-escalate whatever was going on in the house with less lethal weapons, knowing that she was the one that called them in the first place. So if you had the taser, why didn't you use it? What made you resort to using a gun before the taser? Right? Now, after Niani was shot, she was taken to a local hospital where she was pronounced deceased. On December 21st, 2023, Finlayson's family held a press conference alongside their attorney, Brad Gage. Now, the family said they were outraged that the mother, who called 911 for help in a domestic violence situation, was killed. Now, if y'all pay attention, Brad Gage is the same attorney hired by Michael Thompson's family, who was the 2020 victim behind Deputy Shelton's firearm back then. So Finlaycy's family also filed a $30 million lawsuit against the LASD in the Los Angeles County alleging assault, wrongful death, and civil rights violations. LASD reported that Deputy Shelton has been removed from the field as an investigation continues in line with standard policy, which only means that he wasn't suspended or anything. He's still receiving pay. However, he may just be working at the precinct or somewhere internal and not on the street with civilians. Now, here's my thing. It took 2 bodies to fall, 2 people to lose their lives before they decided to take this man off the street, and somehow he's still employed. They didn't say he got fired. They didn't say that he's suspended with or without pay. They said he was taken from the field, and the field is another term for the streets. Now, I do understand that they have their policies and everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But in this case, this man is involved in 2 senseless incidents where he appears to be the shooter for apparently no good reason, right? How many lives have to be taken before they begin taking this thing serious enough to get rid of this officer, right? He shouldn't even be reinstated. I don't care what the outcome is. It's too much speculation surrounding his name with wrongful deaths. Even if you don't decide to throw him in jail, clearly he doesn't need to be an officer with a gun because he can't control himself. He's trigger happy. I personally feel that he should have been taken off the streets since the first time he was accused of shooting Michael Thomas because that didn't make sense. And if he was, then just maybe Niani would still be alive today. But however, he was still able to operate while he was already being investigated for an unnecessary killing back in 2020. Right? I'm not sure what happened with that situation, but to my knowledge, nothing came out of it. They were still investigated. I don't know. Right? And hypothetically speaking, let's say she was threatening with the knife. Why would your first instinct be to shoot her? Not only shoot her, but shoot 4 times. That's not someone that's shooting to maintain a situation or de-escalate. That's someone that's shooting to take a life. Right? So I don't know what's going on, man, but hopefully this brings awareness to police who have slippery fingers and are trigger happy behind civilians where it's unnecessary to do so. This is very concerning for the fact that it's not just this incident that has the city outraged, but Finlayson's killing was the latest of a string of incidents involving LA sheriffs in the Lancaster region using extreme force against black women. In June, a deputy was filmed throwing a woman to the ground outside of a store. Then, the LASD released footage the following month showing the deputy punching a woman in the face as she held her newborn. So clearly this is a big issue, right? That needs some attention and needs attention fast. I don't think it's only against black women neither, as I feel it's a problem against minorities as a whole that get treated with the least respect when it comes to the law in certain situations. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of good cops out there that do their job fairly, but there's a few out there that make it very bad for the good ones as they abuse their authority, take advantage of having a badge, and think the community are supposed to serve them instead of the other way around. These men, these women, they have weapons and should be very disciplined if they're going to have them. If not, they're going to continue to shoot and take the lives of many more. And my only question is, at that point, what does it take before enough is enough? And if y'all would like to see the body cam footage, we pinned the link in our comments so y'all can check it out there. YouTube and their guidelines may not allow us to include it in the video, so if y'all want to see it, like I said, it's pinned in the comments. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. I hope the Finlayson family gets proper justice. My condolences go out to them, and rest in peace to Niani. And as more come out about this, I'll continue to update you guys as well, because at this point, I'm intrigued myself, right, to see what they're going to do. This officer now has 2 bodies under his belt where it's possible that he's the one who was wrong in the situation. So, like I said, I'm intrigued to see what happens with this, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. And I'm out.